Here we are in the upper left, in the blue, in the GSL. We have the replays. Maru. And the bottom right, the red for NightMare. Well, there we go. We know who it is. It's NightMare. He is representing himself. He is for NightMare, and he is NightMare. And I just realized that I never put my green screen down. So there we go. So yeah. Gas first coming out of NightMare in this first game. And we're going to have to see what he has in store. But Maru is just doing Maru things. This shouldn't surprise anyone. Actually, you know what? The setup here when we talk about how, you know, it's Maru or it's not is, well, I don't know. This shouldn't surprise anyone. I guess the only thing that should surprise is that it's only one proxy barracks, not two. But I think in general, like, yeah, you know, this is Maru. This is fine. And it's just going to be a Proxy Reaper setup. It's not going to be anything more than that, really. Yeah, maybe it gets some damage done, but, you know, it's going to be fine. And you know what? I've been a big fan of NightMare. I've been singing his praises for a while now. I've been talking about how, you know, how good he is, how good he sometimes looks online on these EPT Cups, things of that nature. And again, he does occasionally look good. And who can forget his incredible run in DreamHack Atlanta last year? I mean, he went from the first round of the elimination bracket all the way onto the playoffs, where unfortunately he ran into a Terran named Bunny who knocked him out. And I mean, that's all we got to say here. NightMare, I think his PvP is very good. I don't really have a lot to say about his ZVP, unfortunately, but I think he's fairly lacking in this matchup. And he's running into, again, one of the best to ever do it. One of these players that we talk about when we say, yeah, you know what? The lack of profit, the lack of a prize pool that we see in the GSL right now, where all 3 seasons of the GSL in 2023 are less than 1 season of GSL last year. Well, Maru is one of these players that we're saying, maybe it doesn't matter for him, because if he wins a couple GSLs, like, he's gonna be okay. But or it matters less for Maru, I guess. But for now, this bunker is obnoxious. The pylon on the low ground, we got knocked down before any sort of shield battery could get started. So the Stalkers, you know, they're going to ward this Reaper off, but it can't really find its way up the high ground anyways. And it's going to be damn hard for NightMare to be able to break this. There's an SCV here repairing 3 Marines in this bunker. And I was talking about how this was going to be, it's just Reaper proxy. But Maru has got other plans. So now, well, the Stalker goes down, and actually it's going to step out and will now fall. So, you know, Maru loses a Marine. But he still has 2 here. He's still got the Reaper. The bunker is still very heavy. And now here comes the Cyclone as well. It's going to be hard for NightMare to break on out of this. Even with a shield battery on the high ground, it's already out of energy. And the problem with a shield battery on the high ground, instead of just a pylon in the mineral line or something, is the very simple fact that you cannot overcharge this. Now Cyclone gets a lock on a Stalker, forces it back, gets all these shields on. But now, Warp Prism's done. 2 more Stalkers are going to get warped in. And it seems like NightMare is just going to let this Nexus die. I don't know how I feel about that, but what I can tell you is that it seems like his approach is just going to be for counterattack, to try to kill what's running back across the map. But he's only going to get 2 Marines. And I'm sorry. 2 Marines are not enough. Like, really not at all. So NightMare's going to have to try to get more. He's got the Warp Prism on the other side for Stalkers, and one of the downsides of this build for Maru is that he had his barracks floating across the map for just about forever. He has literally a single Marine on the map. And more importantly, he's got a tank, he's got a Viking, and they're sitting on the high ground. Actually, 2 tanks, excuse me. So NightMare is going to struggle to make this break happen, but Warp Prisms, they can solve many things. Tanks, though, siege up on the high ground, and that really should be the end of it. Cyclone gets a lock on the Warp Prism, but no, the Cyclone will fall. And for now, NightMare's going to have to content himself with that. It's not good damage. It's not significant. but it's the best he was going to be able to get given the circumstances. So now Natural just about done. Heinously behind. He's six workers behind Maru. His Natural is done slower. And by the way, Maru is on double orbital. This Natural has the ability to drop mules. It's not just like, oh, well, you know, Maru got his command center on the low ground and he's not that far ahead. No. Maru is massively far ahead. He's 8, 9 workers ahead. He's adding on. And of course, you know, extra barracks, they have to get added in. Maru's not ready to move across the map right now. But make no mistake, he is in an incredible spot. So NightMare's approach is going to be twofold here. Charge, no blink. He cannot afford blink. He does not have the timing for it. But he can go charge. And that actually, it's a quick upgrade. And it can deal pretty well against some of these lower to medium tech Terran pushes. But the key thing that is going to allow him to hopefully stay in this game is, A, double gas on the Natural. So hopefully, as the Reaper goes in, gets the scout on what's happening here. The sentries with their tickle beams will eventually kill it. But he's going to have to rely on the fact that, again, double gas means storm. So he's going to have to rely on 2 Nexi, down 6 to 8 to 10 probes. He's starting to come back. Chrono is a powerful thing. But he needs some of the biggest storms of his life to hit Maru's army. And not just hit Maru's army, he needs to hit Maru's army and then have the Zealots engage immediately. If Maru just tanks the storms, backs up, heals up, it's going to be fine. But he needs to make sure that he can get that immediate follow-up. The Marines need to go from wounded to dead. And, well, make matters worse, Maru drops a scan in the main. He is well aware of what's happening. As now Stalker's running back. Pot shots on the Warp Prism, but it's only a single Viking, and Warp Prism is far enough away and is fast enough that it should be able to escape out of things. So now, Warp Prism done in 10 seconds, but you cannot put High Templar in this Warp Prism. It's too low. So NightMare, I am honestly somewhat surprised to not see him having warped in High Templar like on the right side or something so he can go for that some sort of storm flank, because that is the only way I really see this working. How he's going to put him in? He's got to make this happen, but I don't know. It's going to be hard. Army moves down the ramp. Zealots move forward. Storms are just going to whiff round 1. And the Disable. Well, the Warp Prism can't unload anything regardless. So yeah, the bunker's going to fall. 1 tank seems to go down. But the first push from Maru not going to be dislodged all that easily as the tanks. They're going to run forward. Concussive shells halfway done. Now, NightMare, by the way, he's taking a little bit of a proxy base, and that's kind of fun. But here comes the push. Here comes the drop moving in. The storms, they're still not great. The tanks will not fall, at least on the right side, it will not. And now, well, the Warp Prism's going to have to pick up, save this Immortal going in. Archon's getting warped from the High Templar because that is literally all that they can do. And more probes will fall. Now, this is a very low medevac. And it seems like for the moment, NightMare will force Maru back, but make no mistake about it, this is not a victory. This is not Maru getting forced back. This is NightMare dying slower than he might otherwise have been. So it looks like, how much storm energy do we have here? None. 15 seconds from a storm, for the most part, is what we get here is now Maru, oh, the brilliant man that he is, sends a medevac down. He's like, oh, do you have a third base, NightMare? Oh, it's not the normal spot? I should just check the corner anyways, because he understands what type of a game this is. He understands what a commanding presence he has, and therefore, NightMare's going to have to do something funny to make this work. So NightMare tries something funny. The storms go down, but it hits 3 Marines, doesn't even kill him. Zealots try to charge forward. Widowmines kill that, and just this army from Maru, it's small, but it is mighty. Now, that's a good storm. But the Widowmines at this point, killing Archons is just not something you ever want to be in. One more storm will land as the Zealots run forward. That's actually, you know what, again, pretty solid storms, but Maru targets down the rest of the High Templar here. Feedback on the medevacs tries to allow this army to fight a little bit longer to remove some of the longevity of it. But make no mistake about it. 35 supply in the lead, 35 army supply in the lead here for Maru. He's got upgrades. He's got +1. Ghosts are now getting added in. More Immortals will fall. Widowmines go off just on single Zealots at this point. Maru now just waiting for his reinforcements, trying to find his way across the map. Widowmines burr up once again. This Archon is just gonna pop here. Widowmines get great shots, although NightMare saves some. In fairness to him, he saves some of the Zealots from the Widowmines, and that's pretty sexy. Unfortunately for him, this army is just not beating it. There are no more storms. High Templar gets saved, pull back once again, but EMPs end this game. And Maru plays incredibly well, impeccably. And he takes game 1. In the upper right here in the blue, up a game. Really immaculate play. I can't believe he got the Nexus like that. It's Maru. And the bottom left, the darling of DreamHack Atlanta, but he's going to have to show more than that here. It's NightMare. So Maru doing Maru things. If it ain't broke, why fix it? And he's going to drop another proxy barracks on the other side of the map. Is this the return of the Proxy Max meta, or the Proxy Rex meta Maru, the man who would drop one or multiple proxy barracks literally every game for about a year and a half, and he would win the majority of them? It's like, that should put you behind if it doesn't work, right, Maru? And then Maru would just say, no, it's totally fine. I am A-okay here. But interesting thing now is Maru is going double gas after the barracks instead of single gas. So he's taken more of an aggressive option compared to what he did in game number 1, which this really does take a page out of the TVT book. The barracks double gas proxy, or the barracks double gas factory, excuse me, into the command center is kind of how you want to go. And he's going to eBay block it. Oh, this is awkward now. So the circulation between the main and the natural, or in the third base location here, that Maru has gone, or that NightMare has gone for, is so awkward now because a Reaper is, well, actually, I think there's a high ground block. Okay, there is. So it's not quite as bad as I thought it was going to be. But the eBay block here, it makes life really complicated. Zealots are going to, or Stalkers are going to take so long to run down. Now there's a second Reaper on the way. We're not going to see those additional Marines. In fact, the bunker is just going to get canceled. But NightMare had to respond to it as if it was what happened in game number 1, the thing that did kill his natural. And instead, he's just going to lose a bunch of probes because the Zealot had to get forced early. And if you get the Zealot, well, it means your Stalkers may be a little bit slower here. So 2 probes will fall. And by the way, not a single dead SCV coming out of Maru. Some take damage, sure, but he's running back home. Now we got 2 Reapers on the map. And yeah, they can't fight a Stalker. That's fine. Maru's getting ready into the next round of his aggression already. He's got Hellions on the way, adding in this starport. And it seems like we might see some sort of, well, it's actually too early to say. I was going to say, it seems like we might get some sort of elevator pressure, but nah, just Widowmine drops. Okay. It's a little bit more standard. I got excited. I'm like, Reaper Hellion drops. Those are kind of fun. And actually, this Reaper Hellion force, with just given it enough time, they can win this fight right now. So Hellions take damage, and that's, not repairable or not recoverable easily. But we're going to see a Stalker go down here, and now, well, infinite kiting on the Zealot, but a second Stalker arrives, and that forces these Reapers back. But even still, you trade a mineral unit for a gas unit in the early game. That is by far, that is tremendous value for Maru. And the Widowmine says that, yeah, NightMare, you want to run in, you want to put pressure on a natural that doesn't exist on the low ground yet, you be my guest. You're going to lose a Zealot. You're going to lose a Stalker. It's not what you want. So NightMare has to pull back, and well, that's going to be another dead probe. 1, 2, 3 shot. Oh, there we go. There's the third. So this is a grand total of 4 dead probes. A dead Stalker for a single Hellion. And that KD8 charge, again, is going to keep Maru safe. So all the little bits of value here. The ticky-tacks, the drips and drabs. But now, maybe, just maybe, time for a little bit more, because Widowmine drops are on the horizon, and NightMare, less damage than game 1. He can feel somewhat confident in his decision to go blink and not be forced into charge immediately. But is he paying attention to these Widowmine drops? Because the Reapers are pretty distracting. So Widowmines find their way in. NightMare slow pull. Is it going to be in time? No, he's not able to. Oh, Maru's going to chase it down, though. Probes get pulled, do half damage. Unburrow on the reburrow. Probes are going to get damage on this thing again. And oh, NightMare. He kills it before it's able to go off. That was, man, the amount of times I see this happen, and it's like, wow, that pull looked really slow. And they just barely pull away in time. It's quite often. And I'm always just a little impressed that it works out for the Protoss players, but it does. And now Maru doesn't quite get the damage he's looking for, but he does force 3 Stalkers to stay at home. And that can be considered kind of a win in and of itself. These Stalkers cannot be aggressive on the map. They can't put pressure on Maru, and that means Maru can get his bunker up easily. He means he can get to 3 tanks easily, get up to stim +1, combat shields, everything he could possibly want. Although he did finally lose another unit. He did lose the Reaper. Ah, Maru. Unacceptable. But NightMare is going to try to take a little bit different of an off-meta path in this game number 2, where, yeah, he opened Blink and he's got Charge on the way, but we got DTs. And yeah, you know, Dark Templar, Dark Shrine, they're not the most uncommon things in the world. They're not the weirdest component. But they are, I'd say, you know, you see them 2 out of every 10 games. Blink into DTs with charges. Yeah, 2 out of 10 games, maybe 1 out of 10 in the Korean PvT meta. But NightMare is going to have to get damage here. And first of all, he's going to have to get counter damage. Right? He did lose those 5 probes. He did lose the Stalker early on. Maru has been trading better and harassing well enough. But did Maru? Oh, he did see the Dark Shrine. Okay. So that's right. The Reaper leaped on the high ground. I saw that. I just, you know, didn't internalize it. But now Maru adding vessel turrets. They're done. The only way into the main base, getting a DT into any of Maru's bases now is either a Warp Prism, which there's no robo. Well, there is a robo. Excuse me. Is there a Warp Prism? No, okay, there's no Warp Prism. Not just yet. Or, you know, you can try to run through the natural where there is defense, where there is a missile turret and a bunker. And that is going to probably slow down just enough, because here comes the pressure of Maru. His +1's not done. Combat shields are not done, but he's got Widow Mines, he's got tanks, and he knows how to use them. So Zealot number 1 will fall. A couple probes going down here on the interim. Stalkers on the right side are going to do their level best to cut off reinforcements, and that is some level of value. Maru continues to try to find more. The Nexus now starting to take damage. Shield Battery's going to have to heal that one right back on up. But for now, NightMare's not responding. But actually, Maru, he rotates over to try to defend. The tanks are unsieged. Maru saves 1, saves 2, just barely. 1 Stalker blinks on top, though, gets both tanks. And this is the best looking fight that NightMare's had in the entirety of this series. He gets 2 tanks. He forces Maru back from whence he came. And now the question, can he go and find the counter damage? Can he go and push into Maru's side of the map? Because it's one thing to make the defense happen when you have a shield battery overcharge, when you have defender's advantage, and it's another thing to run across the map like this, especially lacking a Warp Prism. We don't have one. The Robo is not producing anything. No observers, no Warp Prism, no nothing. NightMare just trying to buy time so he can get into the Colossus play, Disruptor play, something like that. But imagine a Warp Prism in the main right now. Even not for DTs, even if it's just for charge lots. It forces Maru to make tough decisions. Do you keep being aggressive? Do you go home? Do you respond to the counterattack? But because this is of how things are happening right now, there is no decision for Maru to make. He just runs in. DTs are going to try to find something, but there's a bunker here and a missile turret, so it's going to take some amount of damage. But the bunker is not quite in range, and well, DT actually gets out of range on the missile turret, so Scan has to get dropped here. 4 workers will fall. Maru very quickly on the other side is going to try to drive on in. Shield battery overcharge. It's not ready. In fact, it was popped right now, and Maru's not even taking the fight, so that's wasted energy, wasted time. That really NightMare does not have access to. Now, we do have to point out, of course, Maru's third base it's not on location. Certainly, it just finished up here, so NightMare's economy going much better. But this minefield, Zealot's going to run forward. Splits from NightMare are pretty solid. And actually, yeah, second Widow Mine goes off to no value. Maru's going to continue to push in, and there is no splash damage here. Ghosts have already been added. Wait, am I crazy? Yes, I'm crazy. I thought I saw ghosts. No, they're on the production tab. They're not here just yet. Widow Mine shots go off. And even as these Colossus pop, they're not going to have the range that they want. They will not have extended thermal lance. It's really not going to be there. So Maru, he's going to have just such an easier time diving on top of this. And the Raven, still plenty of energy, can just shut the thing down. I think at this point in the lifespan of this game, I would have much preferred to see NightMare, even as Maru backs up for a second, I would have much preferred to see NightMare go and get disruptors. They build faster, they're a little bit cheaper, and they're slightly less susceptible to the Raven, because again, you would have 3 of them right now instead of 1 Colossus. You would have just more potential, but Maru Massive concave here moving forward. Raven, when does Maru trigger it? In fact, I don't even know that he's going to. This Colossus on the north side is just going to go down. Widowmine shots are massive this time. And now, well, what's going to stop Maru? Nothing. The Colossus gets shut down here. Extended Thermal Lance not done. Archons are trying to do something, but Archons, they're just little big blue balloons that will pop immediately. And there's nothing here anymore. The ghosts have been added in. Shields go bye-bye. And there is nothing left for Night. He's got a Colossus. He's got that. But the only thing left for NightMare at this point is to go down and try to beat the loser of Byun and NightMare in the lower bracket here of Code A, because there is no chance he's advancing in the upper bracket anymore. He needs the type of miracle that stories, that myths and legends are made of, and unfortunately, nightmares are not myth. Well, actually, nightmares are myth. That analogy falls apart. But the disruptors, they're going to pop out now. Maru lifts up, dodges the shots here. Stalkers try to kill the medevac, but there's nothing in that one, unfortunately, for NightMare. And the only nightmare that exists is in NightMare's dreams, because he is dead. He's in the ground. 120 supply to 54. And Maru books a date with the winner of Byun and DRG in the winner bracket of winner match of Code A. Ooh, that's going to be fun. DRG, some pretty solid TVZ and a disruptor shot. Maru's just going to target it down. Friendly fire, you know, does damage to the ghosts. But NightMare, well and truly dead. 2-0, Maru moves on to the winner's match.